2018, second place in the Bundesliga. 2019, qualified from the Champions League group and played Manchester City in the round of 16. 2020, a 30-game winless streak. 2021, relegated from the Bundesliga in the most embarrassing way imaginable. 34 games played, 16 points, minus 61 goal difference, with only 3 games won. 2022, champions of the second tier of German football in the second Bundesliga. And 2023, yet another relegation. As we speak, they are just 2 points above the relegation zone in the second Bundesliga. As it stands now, if Schalke gets relegated to the third tier of German football, then they will quantifiably no longer exist in their current form, similar to how Rangers in 2012 had to completely restart from the amateur leagues and work their way up again. Schalke will have to do the same. This is undeniable, and this will happen if they go down. How can Schalke go from second place in the Bundesliga to being on the edge of no longer existing in 5 years? Let's get into it. Subscribe if you are new here. Now, before I delve in deeper, we need to understand and add some context to who exactly Schalke FC is, as they are not just any ordinary football team. Schalke 04 is one of the biggest teams in German football. It is in comparison with a Tottenham Hotspur or an Arsenal or a Chelsea, being on the verge of no longer existing. If you should survey a few Germans and ask them who the top 5 biggest football clubs in the country are, Schalke 04 would definitely be on that list. They are known for having possibly the most passionate fan base and having incredibly high numbers of attendants and members since the dawn of time. As of 2022, Schalke had over 160,000 members, and this makes them the second biggest sports club in Germany and the fourth biggest sports club in the world, behind Bayern Munich, Benfica, and Boca Juniors. The last time they were ever champions of Germany was in 1958, and they went the longest route of being in the Bundesliga for the longest time without ever lifting the trophy. Despite all of these, they've definitely had one of the most passionate fan bases in the entire country, and for Schalke fans, their golden moments was back in 1997 when they won the UEFA Cup. Now, lastly, the best way to show how big Schalke really are and to show the gravity of how big a club like this is in this situation is attendances. Now, we can just look at the Bundesliga alone, and which in terms of attendances for last season, Schalke was third with an average of 61,000 attendance. And by the way, they were in a relegation battle for pretty much the entire year, and they got sent down and still had the third highest. What about the second tier German football? How has the attendance been? Has it gone down? The answer is no. It's still around 61,000 average attendance in the second division of German football. Now, win or lose, no matter if they are in a relegation battle or in the second tier of German football, they still have the same attendance as they did when they were in the Champions League. Now, that is what we call loyalty. Now that we understand and we do appreciate how big Schalke FC is, let's get into what exactly happened to them and why they find themselves in this situation in just 5 years. Now, Schalke 04 back in 2016 to 2018 had a great set of players. Many players that they could go on and sell for a ton of money, but due to very poor management, was basically allowing all their top talents to leave for free. This was due to the management being way too late on negotiating contracts, and when it came to the time that the players had to really move on and take the next step of their careers, the contract was running out, so they had no leg to stand on in terms of actually negotiating and asking for a fee. What's the point asking for a ton of money when the clubs know that they could get them on a free in the next 6 to 12 months time? Now let's go through the list of players that they did lose for free. 2015-2016, Joel Matip. Joel was an academy player for Schalke coming through the academy and was a big talent and had already played over 250 games for Schalke and was a key talented player and was one of the best centre-backs in the entirety of Bundesliga. He was 23 years of age and was valued around 20 million euros. However, Schalke 04 severely mismanaged him and his contract was running out and they could not send him a new one, so he had to go on a free, and that's just one example. 20 million euros lost for one of the best academy talents at the age of 23. Next one, Sead Kolasinac. Again, 23 years of age, was an academy prospect at Schalke and already played over 100 games for the club. He went to Arsenal in 2017 and left again on a free transfer. He was not only a key player for Schalke, but also one of the best left backs in the league at the time. And once again, due to the poor management of his contract, it ran out and he had to go on a free. He was valued at around 15 to 20 million euros. So that is another 20 million euros lost for Schalke. Next up is Max Meyer. Back in 2018, he left for free to Crystal Palace and was also 22 years old. He came through the academy, was an academy prospect, and had already played over 150 games for Schalke at that time. In terms of the German national team, he was seen as one of the best German young talents and was valued on the market around, again, 20 million euros. 20 million euros was a healthy valuation for him at that price point in the late 2010s, and he went for free to Schalke 04. Now, these three players now make it 60 million euros loss for Schalke. Whether it's 40, 50, 35, 70, it doesn't really matter, because when you're a club like Schalke, money does means a lot. You got to start making money from your academy at some stage, and losing 40 to 50 million is scandalous. Same year, by far possibly one of the most painful losses for Schalke was the loss of Leon Goretzka, again in the same age of 23 years. He was not only a key player, but was potentially the best midfielder in the Bundesliga at that time, at least in the top 5. He had a massive valuation of at least 40 million euros, but could have even been a bit more considering the team he went to, Bayern Munich. And unfortunately for Schalke, he also left on a free. Leon Goretzka went to Bayern Munich on a free. Now, that was a steal. 2 years later, another Schalke academy prospect went to Bayern Munich, and this was Alexander Nubel, who left on a free to Bayern in 2020 and was also 23 years old. Apparently, they're all of the similar age. He was an academy prospect. He was a German under 21 goalkeeper at the time period, and he was seen to be the new Manuel Neuer. So that means that over the course of 4 years, on academy prospects or players that they have developed at a very young age alone, they made zero euros. So they've missed out on potentially 120 to 130 million euro at this time, and they've let all these players go for free. That is absolute disastrous management. Now, speaking of management, they made some signings, and let's get to that. One important thing to remember here is ego. Now, Schalke, of course, as we went through, is one of the biggest clubs in German football, and is up there fan-wise as one of the biggest clubs in the world. So ego comes with that. And then comes a sort of demand to bring in the best players to compete at the highest level, and the Borussia Dortmund complex also comes to play as well. They compete not only on the pitch, but also off it financially, trying to bring in the biggest names, the biggest fees to really show your prowess. However, if you aren't winning games and you aren't selling players for any sort of value, then it's a recipe for disaster. Within 2015 to 2022, Schalke brought in players that were beyond their means, and most of these players turned out to be complete and utter flops. Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting was brought in for free from Mainz, but was allowed to go for free as well. His market value at that time was 8 million euros. Bril Embolo, bought for 26.5 million euros in 2016, and then was sold for 11 million euros. 15 million euro loss. Nabil Bentaleb was bought for 90 million euros in 2016 and was sold for absolutely nothing. 90 million euros lost. Franco Di Santo, 6 million euros spent to bring him in, and he was let go on a free. Another 6 million loss. Johannes Geis, brought in 2015 for 10.5 million euros, was sold for 500,000 euros. 10 million euro loss. Javin Konoplyanka, bought for 12.5 million euros and sold for 2 million euros. 10.5 million euro loss. One of the worst ones was Sebastian Rudy, 16 million euros in 2016, and he was let go on a free 3 years later. 16 million euro loss. Omar Mascarell, 12.5 million euros he was brought in for, and again he was let to go for free. 12.5 million euro loss. Hamza Mendel, 6 million euros and let go on a free 4 years later. And Rabbi Montando, 9 million euros spent and sold for 3 million euros. 6 million euros lost. So altogether, just those 10 players there is 100 million euros loss for Schalke 04. On top of the academy prospects, that is altogether a combined 200 million euro loss in the span of 5 to 6 years. Imagine what all this money could have done for Schalke. And again, the fundamental problem here is mismanagement of players' contract. Battling with their own ego a lot of times and bringing in players to compete with the likes of Borussia Dortmund in terms of their stature, and not really having the right coaching and recruitment and real strategy and tactics from off the pitch to make it all come together, created a massive turnover of coaches and staff and directors in all these, and therefore a new person has new ideas and thinking, okay, I need this amount of money to make it work and fix everything. And if situations don't go their way and they bring in someone else and the person also says, I also need more money to try and fix this their own way, and that also doesn't work, and they bring someone else in. And as a result of that, you've got a full team of mixed players that are brought in on different ideas and different philosophies, with directors that are also mixed because they all leave, and then coaches are also mixed in their philosophy because they also have to leave too, and this results in a very complete mess. All of these have led to the current situation, which is currently on goal difference, just 2 places on top of the relegation zone in the second tier of German football. Now, what happens if they actually get relegated into the third tier? Well, in German football, you need licenses to actually perform at the level. And due to the amount of debt that Schalke has, which by this time is around 165 million euros, the league can just say no, as they have done in the past. Now, in third tier of German football, they can allow a team to enter and they could just fall apart and go into administration and liquidate midway through the season. So now, this isn't what the league wants, and they have to make sure that any team that actually wants to perform can perform to complete the season before they will even allow you to start and give you a license. So that means if the situation comes that Schalke gets relegated and they will have to be in the third tier of football, the Football League administrators will say no, as they are in a massive debt and will have no guarantees that they can even complete the season. And in this situation, Schalke will no longer exist in its current form. They will have to liquidate and start all over again in the amateur leagues. And this is undeniable. And this will happen if they get relegated. As it currently stands, they are only 2 places on top of the relegation zone. I do apologize in advance if I did miss some details, and comment down below if there's anything else you'd want to add. So thanks for watching to the end. I'll see you in the next one.